In case you're out of the loop, the Dallas Mavericks just had their biggest comeback of the season against the Rockets, when they overcame a 22-point deficit to win it in overtime. In that game, Luka and Kyrie tallied their highest output as a duo by scoring 85 points combined. But what's more impressive about it was the numbers that Kyrie has put up. I mean, we're talking about a guy who racked up 48 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal on 60% shooting, while basically playing with an empty stomach and without drinking an ounce of water before the actual game. Kyrie has been fasting in observance of Ramadan since 2021, and despite having low energy reserves around this time of year, he's actually managed to play at an even higher level, which is quite insane. During his first Ramadan, back in the 2020-21 season, Kyrie averaged 30 points a ball game, along with 6.4 assists, 5.2 rebounds, and 1.8 steals in 5 games. Then, in the following season, he had 24, 6, and 5 in the span of 7 games. And this year, Kyrie is continuing the tradition, averaging 26.1 points, 5.7 assists, 5 rebounds on 50, 38, 92 shooting splits across 15 games. Now, throughout the stretch of Ramadan, which began on March 10th and ended on April the 9th, the Mavericks were 13-2. And a huge part of their recent success can be attributed to Kyrie's stellar showing. I mean, when he got traded around February last year, most fans and pundits were quick to pull the trigger on him, saying the Mavs are doomed because of his questionable off-court behavior, and that his partnership with Luka wouldn't last long because there was only one ball to work around with. While that was essentially true last season, as they missed the playoffs entirely, Kyrie has flipped the narrative about him this season. And this is exactly what we're going to be delving deeper into in this video. How did Kyrie manage to finally fit in with the Mavs and thrive alongside arguably the best player in the NBA today? It hasn't been too long since the Mavs tasted its first Western Conference Finals appearance under the Luka Doncic era. But while that core group was already solid from a strategic viewpoint, it just wasn't good enough to get them over the hump. Despite having a slew of reliable role players, it's pretty obvious that Luka needs more help, especially with how they flamed out early last season. To solve their dilemma, the Mavs restructured their roster by getting more lengthy, athletic, and defensive-minded to complement Luka's godlike playmaking. I mean, they got rid of the one-dimensional bucket-getter Spencer Dinwiddie and replaced him with a Swiss Army knife kind of a player in Dante Exum. Then, they picked up the high-flying and more dynamic Derrick Jones Jr. to offset Reggie Bullock, who's only a spot shooter at best. And aside from this, he's also a flexible defender that can cover more range than Dorian Finney-Smith. And as we're seeing right now, Derek Lively II turns out to be the big man that would perfectly complement Luka, along with the likes of their new additions PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford. And these guys are no doubt a way better fit than Kristaps Porzingis or even Christian Wood to some extent. Now that all the role pieces are intact, there's still one final piece left in the puzzle. And this is where Kyrie Irving fits into the picture, being that super sidekick who would come to the aid of Luka when the going gets tough. But even though this is apparently how most people perceive their partnership, Luka thinks otherwise.
Your teammate, we talked to Jason Kidd pregame and he called you Superman, he called Kyrie Batman. What's that chemistry been like between you two superheroes on this team?
He's the Batman, I'm the Robin.
Although we know that Luka was just giving Kyrie his flowers with that statement, there's actually a lot of times that Kyrie draped his cape and came through clutch time to win ball games for the Mavs.
Looking in for Irving. Irving for the win! Oh my! A southpaw finish from Kyrie!
So, the million-dollar question is, after building a bad reputation over the years due to the on- and off-court issues he got involved in, how did Kyrie turn things around for him this season? Well, in terms of his fit with Luka and the Mavs inside the court, one of the reasons why he's playing at an elite level right now is because he's learned how to complement Luka offensively, even without the ball in his hands. Now, it may sound weird to hear that, but Kyrie is actually thriving as an off-ball player right now, and this newly unlocked dimension of his game has made him a deadlier offensive weapon than he already is. I mean, at this point, Kyrie was already unhinged so the Rockets doubled him quickly. But instead of just letting others make the play, Kyrie never stopped moving. And being active allowed him to sneak past behind the defense for the easy lay-in. And if the defense tries to overplay him and deny him the ball, Kyrie would beat them on the punch with slippery shoulder fakes and quick backdoor cuts to make them pay. See, back in the 2015-16 season, when he was helping LeBron lead the Cavs to its very first championship, only 29% of its total baskets were assisted. But this season, that number has gone up to 47%. And if we're going to focus on his layups and dunks alone in 2015-16, only 19% of his total shots were assisted. But right now, Kyrie is clocking at 50% in those specific shot categories. Anyway, aside from his increased off-ball activity, the other thing that makes Kyrie an even more lethal bucket getter this season is his ability to take and make shots in the early offense. Jason Kidd has given Kyrie the greenest of green lights to launch long bombs when the defense is not yet set up early in the shot clock, which is quite similar to what Steph and Klay have been doing for years now as part of the Warriors. Off the rebound, the Mavs would usually find Kyrie on the outlet, if they can't get the ball to Luka, and once he finds an open space, Kyrie would not hesitate to pull the trigger and knock down his shots. And because of his unpredictability, Kyrie can simply switch things up in semi-transition, because if the defense closes out on him, he can turn his jets and slither his way to the cup anytime he wants to. As you can see in this graphic right here, Kyrie is quite efficient with his blitzkrieg attacks, as he is registering an effective field goal percentage of above 50%, whenever he launches a shot very early in the shot clock, and he's also shooting quite decent from range as well, hitting from 30 to 45% in this field. See, this is where the dynamic pairing of Luka and Kyrie comes into play. When Luka steers the ship, the Mavs offense would usually grind to a halt, and methodically dissect the defense while hinging every decision on his playmaking brilliance. On the other hand, Kyrie is like a tornado that causes chaos and confusion to the defense with his ball handling wizardry and out-of-this-world shot making. But even though it seems they're quite opposite in terms of their respective approach, both Kyrie and Luka are working towards the same goal. And that is to exploit the gaps of the defense and eventually find the open man, as well as create easy scoring opportunities for their teammates, while being the guys who will get the most of the attention and bear the large targets on their backs. And so far this season, Luka and Kyrie is complementing each other to a T like peanut butter and jelly. Cause among all the duos in the NBA right now, their pairing registers an 11.9 plus since the trade deadline, which is third out of 42 pairings that have logged at least 600 minutes this season. Most people have been saying the Warriors and the Lakers are the teams that the NBA should watch out for. But to me, the Mavericks are the ultimate dark horse in this playoffs that few people are paying attention to. We've seen thus far that when Kyrie is locked in, he's easily one of the best players today, with his ability to take over games and hit clutch baskets down the stretch. And if he's not in the mood to do his stuff, Luka Magic can simply step in and destroy whatever kind of defense teams will lay out on him. And along with the upgraded role players that I just talked about earlier, this Mavs team will surely make some noise in the playoffs. And I really believe deep down that they can go to the finals with the current pieces they have, as long as Luka and Kyrie stay healthy the rest of the way.